if you've been paying attention to health news, yet another study is questioning the validity of the controversial liberation therapy. Many with multiple sclerosis saw it as a great hope. Surgeon Paolo Zamboni claimed he could treat MS by unblocking neck veins. But a study published in The Lancet this week said definitively this doesn't work. Barry Moores has been fundraising to get the liberation treatment, and he joins me on the line from Clarenville. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning, sir.
Good to talk to you again. What do you make of this study?
Oh, boy, this one. I have to disagree completely because the researchers didn't really research the therapy. They were only concerned with finding or supposed proof that MS was not caused by blood flow. So they've kind of mischaracterized the treatment itself, because the liberation thing has been a misnomer for a number of years now. It seems their study had really nothing to do with anybody who ever took the procedure. Again, they're only concerned about whether blood flow caused MS. And, well, we've never equated that with the therapy, which is really funny. At the end of this story about the most recent research, at the end of the piece on CBC right down at the bottom, the UBC researcher thinks there may be a connection between stimulating veins and improvements in symptoms from MS patients. Actually, in the story, the same story about supposed debunking or double bunking or whatever.
Right.
So it's really unusual that story's headline mentions debunking or double bunking or whatever you want to say, when its purview and results say quite the opposite.
I guess so the distinction you're making is between the causality between MS and blood flow and whether or not
it actually does. Their postulation was, or to disprove whether blood flow causes MS,
right.
And that's kind of a non sequitur over the last 24 to 48 months. It's kind of moved on, as the UBC researcher himself suggests. It's really moved on. So the concern now, I think, what happens with this is bad for MS people because it mischaracterizes actually what's going on. So these people are concerned, I would say, about the kind of textbook situation. These studies is more about the textbook description of MS, not about the effects of this having on real people in any clinic. For us, like a week and a half ago, we published an essay on Tumblr, on my blog, The Artesian Paradise, on Tumblr, and it's called At the End of the Day, and the subtitle is Debunking and Debunking.
Debunking.
Yes, exactly. So what is interesting is that when we started to do our fundraising, we went on some of the theories and the research that had been done by the CBC's Nature of Things program about a year and a half or 2 years ago, and who kind of delved into the actual people that are involved as separated from what's being done in kind of university research clinics.
Right.
So we also, another thing that was interesting, 2 very recent pieces in Maclean's magazine which examine the procedure's development as a treatment for much more than MS. And actually, I took the debunking line off of the second Maclean after the first Maclean story.
Okay, I just want to sort of try to narrow this down. You're currently fundraising, right?
Correct.
For this kind of treatment.
Yeah.
When you get whether Barry Moores decides to dismiss a study or not, isn't there kind of a preponderance of studies that call the whole procedure into question?
No, I don't think there's a preponderance of studies at all there. All that they've never spoken to any patient. And, we went into this, and again, I'm using the CBC's Nature of Things program as the kind of, as the signpost there. And
but I want to finish my question. I didn't get to finish my question.
Sorry, dear.
The question was, putting aside the issue of the validity of these studies, which obviously you're free to question, you are questioning. My question is that preponderance of studies, doesn't that make it more difficult for you to fundraise for this very treatment, whether or not those...
Well, see, when I was approached with the idea of doing a campaign, I committed to it 100%, and people in my community have backed me with their time and their finances and their effort, and I'm a man of my word, so I'm not afraid of controversy. Anybody who knows me, I'm not afraid of controversy. I'm not afraid of speaking truth to power. So our situation is that we, it seems obvious to us, obvious to the CBC, obvious to Maclean's magazine, that there's a difference between what's happening to real people and what's happening in regards to them trying to replicate Zamboni's research, which they haven't been able to do.
I get that, but let me put it this way. Do you get tired of having to defend your fundraising efforts?
Well, like I just said there, I'm going to carry on because people have shown their support for what we're doing. They've invested their time and money, I've invested mine. I owe them 100% of who I am, my capacity to continue this. And I mean, you know, we're looking at what's happening in Canada and what's happening in the States is chalk and cheese. You know, this therapy is going on successfully down there. They're registered with their organizations. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and it's kind of a surrealistic pillow up here. And you know, I think a lot of people that I talk to see that, and they realize the difference in this country between what the government's line is and what researchers' line is, and what the real effects on the people with these conditions and what we're living every day.
Barry, if you raise, how much money have you raised?
We have raised almost $5,000 now.
How much do you need?
We need just shy of $30,000.
And if you're successful, when and where would you get the procedure done?
I'm going to go to one of the leading ones in the States, which is called Synergy Health Concepts. They're in Newport Beach. I have some family members in Florida, in California, and so we've decided on that. They're really advanced. They use SMRI techniques. Their surgeons are amongst the top experts in this in the States. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, Barry, appreciate your time and your continued passion on this. I'm sure we'll talk about this again.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
All right, bye now.
Have a good day.
Barry Moore in Clarenville. What do you think? And would you donate? Do you believe the studies? Obviously, Barry is certain that these treatments will help, and he questions these studies, as do many other people with MS and people who have family members who have MS. Call the morning line with your thoughts, 576